All right, let's dive into a really fascinating, timeless story from the 16th century. It's all about the corrosive nature of greed. And we're going to break down this tale of a city called Prosperitas and how it basically rotted from the inside out. So, who's the bad guy in this story? Well, it's not some roaring beast or a monster hiding in the shadows. It's something much, much more subtle. It's described as an unseen whisper, this shimmering heat haze that hangs over every coin. They call it Mammon, the spirit of more. And Mammon's whisper, it started with the most diligent people. Imagine a farmer working hard. Mammon would suggest that real security wasn't in the fertile soil he was already tending. No. It was always just one more purchase away, shimmering out there on that unowned horizon. Then he'd go after the successful ones. For the merchant, that simple joy you get from good service and a fair trade, that got twisted into this obsession with dominating the entire market. Suddenly, your neighbor's success feels like your own personal failure. And here's the really clever part. This wasn't seen as just plain old greed. Mammon was smart. He made people believe that this endless striving, this gnawing hunger, was actually a virtue. It wasn't a moral failing, it was ambition, it was diligence. So you have this widespread sickness, right? This quiet little whisper for more that's infecting everyone. Now let's see how that whisper found its loudest, most destructive voice in a single person. So, in this booming city of Prosperitas, we meet a usurer named Bartholdus. Now, this guy was already rich, but his heart is described as a dry well, totally empty, never satisfied. He'd already exhausted every legal way to make money, so he starts looking into the forbidden arts. And, well, you can probably guess what happens next. One night, Mammon himself shows up. Not as a monster, but with this kind of terrifying beauty, offering him a deal that's just too good to refuse. A shortcut to all the wealth in the world. And the terms of this deal are laid out with this chilling clarity. It's a classic Faustian bargain. For 24 years, Bartholdus gets literally limitless wealth. But the price is so chillingly vague. He will become the coin that is never spent. That was Mammon's real demand. The Bartholdus, totally blinded by what the story calls a glittering illusion, signs the pact, which was written on human skin, by the way, and just like that, his fate is sealed. But here's the thing. This story isn't just about one man's soul. Bartholdus' choice kicked off 24 years of decay that would spread through the entire city. It was a contagion. First, you see Bartholdus himself just get hollowed out. His humanity is stripped away, piece by piece. His whole world just becomes a series of transactions. Food isn't for tasting, it's for pricing. His own kids, their investments. His friends, liabilities. He stops being a man and becomes a walking, talking ledger. And that personal corruption, it didn't stay personal. It bled out into everything. As the king's creditor, his influence infected every single pillar of the city. The king started seeing his subjects not as people, but just as taxable heads. In the temples, the priests began measuring a person's goodness by the size of their donation. The law itself became a spider's web designed only to protect the rich. And the result of all this? Society just fractured right down the middle. You had these grand mansions going up, totally insulated from the cries of the hungry on the streets. Friendships dissolved because of suspicion. The whole social fabric of the city was just hollowed out by this relentless chase for individual gain. But here's the thing about a 24-year contract. It always has a final day. The bill was about to come due. So as the last day of that 24th year finally arrives, the story says Bartholdus was seized by a great trembling. That glittering illusion he'd been living in, it was finally starting to crack. So where does he run? In a last desperate move, he runs to the source of all his power, his vault. He truly believed that the mountains of gold he worshipped could somehow be his salvation, that he could hide behind his own treasure. But you can't hide from a deal like this. Right on the stroke of midnight, Mammon appears, and this time he's not some figure of light. He's a colossus of molten slag, and he's there to deliver his final terrifying judgment. And the ending? Wow. It's this moment of just horrifying, perfect irony. The gold in his own vault liquefies and it flows over him. It doesn't burn him, it encases him. Bartholdus becomes the very treasure he worshipped, a solid gold statue, his face frozen forever in an expression of pure agony.
So, after all that, what are we supposed to take away from the fall of Barthaldus and his once great city? What's the warning that's still echoing from this 16th century story?
The story really leaves us with this powerful, timeless question, one you might recognize from Scripture. It forces every one of us to confront the real, ultimate price of our desires. And it wasn't just Bartholomew who paid the price. The societal decay had its own reckoning. On the very same night he met his fate, the city he helped corrupt collapsed under the weight of its own inequality, literally consumed by a fire that was sparked by resentment. And that, right there, is the final, crucial point. The story warns that the spirit of more isn't some external monster we have to fight. It's a glittering illusion, a trap we build for ourselves, the one that convinces us our very worth can be found on a balance sheet. A timeless warning, for sure.